Good morning. The Bible verse today is Second Chronicles 20, verse 15b, and this is it. Do not fear or be dismayed because of this multitude, for the battle is not yours, but God's. So, when we have situations that occur, many times what we tend to do as humans and believers and people on this fallen state that we live in, we focus on the situation at hand instead of focusing on the fact that our God is a mighty warrior and he fights for us constantly. So this verse comes from Chronicles, and it is talking about a time in the history of God's people when King Jehoshaphat had many armies that were coming and they were going to attack his army. And his army wasn't as large. And so that's what the verse is referring to. So what did he do? He sought God first. And he prayed and he got his people to pray. And they prayed and they fasted for 3 days. And that's what God told him. The battle is not yours, it's mine. I'm your God. Do not be afraid. Do not be dismayed, for I'm with you. Another verse a little later says, you need not fight in the battle. Station yourself, stand and see the salvation of the Lord. Do not fear or be dismayed. Tomorrow go out to face them, for the Lord is with you. And that's what happens when we release whatever problem it is that we have into the hands of our loving Father. Then that gives him the freedom to fight for us. You know, as long as we are fretting and anxious and worried and afraid that things aren't going to happen okay, then we're not going to have the peace that comes from knowing God. And that means that we're worried about the situation. I love what Bishop Chuck Jones said one time. He said that he was always a worrier and that he was praying and worrying about something. And God said to him, I'm going to let you worry about something now. I'll let you worry. And he said, what, Lord? What can I worry about? And what God told him was, you can worry about anything I can't take care of, which means there's no reason to worry because our God is sovereign. He is in charge. He is able to do more than we can ever comprehend. And he loves us so very much that he's willing to fight every battle for us, not just the small ones, not just the big ones, but all of them. And that's what it says in the scripture. Do not fear or be dismayed, for the battle is not yours, but God's. So what happened to this king and his army? Well, they fasted and prayed and sought God about what they should do because they knew their army wasn't large enough to defend themselves. And then God told them to go out and face them. They sent the choir first, they praised God, and God caused confusion among those armies. And they fought against each other instead of Israel. And the battle was God's. And in our lives, even if we're battling against depression, if we're emotional issues, situations, relationship situations, if we're battling because of grief from the loss of a loved one, if we're battling because we don't know where we're going to live tonight because we can't afford our rent because we just lost a job, or if you're battling because you know you're going to be homeless or you can't find a job, whatever the situation is, we are, as believers, to release that situation into God's hands, and then he will fight the battle for us. So let's remember that this week. The battle is not ours, but it is God's. God bless you.